Nothing Personal starts in 30 seconds. It's just business. This is Nothing Personal.
Here you go.
Flop. That's the Nothing Personal word of the day for Tuesday, April 22nd, 2025. Who doesn't love a flopper? Sat and watched the Knicks game last night. Knicks Pistons. Not only because it was the Nothing Personal pick of the day, but also because the Knicks used to be my jam. Love them more than life itself. Favorite sports team of all time, including the Expos and Marlins. There's nothing like being a fan. The emotional roller coaster of it, believing that you're being wronged at every point. Every call that doesn't go your way is a missed call. Every foul that you're called for was not a foul. Every time you miss a shot, it was because of a foul committed by the other team. It really is amazing what we do as fans. I tried yesterday, Coca. Sat in front of the TV. Game was starting. I used to wear a Knicks shirt when I watched playoff games. I used to have a Knicks towel. I would stretch and get ready for the game. My whole day would be planned around Knicks games, even regular season ones. But come playoff time, don't bother me from April till June, though it was only June, 2 years out of the many, many years, the 25 years I was involved. Even as a kid, Knicks playoff games, it was everything to me. So I was trying yesterday to see if I could recapture the moment, to see if I could feel what it is to be a fan again. And I was trying not to tweet. I was trying not to think about today's show. I was just trying to watch the game. And I'm watching the teams go back and forth. I'm watching the turnovers, the sloppiness, the missed shots. I'm watching it unfold as Brunson and Bridges are shooting 7 for 23 from three-point range. I'm watching the Knicks fall behind, and I'm hearing the music that I heard so many times when we want a turnover or we want a defensive stop, and then we want to score. And then I'm watching missed shot after missed shot and just ugliness. I'm not going to get on Jalen Brunson for flopping the way the rest of the country is, because you're all just haters, and that's fine. Players flop all the time. Players complain all the time. There's stuff going on without gesticulations that you don't see or hear about, but we know because we talk to umpires, or we see it because we know our own players. There are little subtle things that coaches do. Not every coach is a Bobby Knight type coach. Phil Jackson is one of the great examples where he seems pretty calm, with his strap hanger shoulders as a coach. He crossed his arms. If you're watching this on the Nothing Personal with David Samson YouTube channel, or if you're listening, just cross your arms and pretend that I had very wide shoulders, which I don't. And Phil Jackson would just look at you sternly, trying to intimidate Jake O'Donnell or Earl Strom or Daryl Garrison. Not going to happen. Throwback to some old referees. I was thinking about how that game was reffed, where they just let those guys play. And I thought that it was a throwback to a physical game, low-scoring game. The Knicks lost 194. But a game like from the 80s and 90s, which to me was the glory days of the NBA. It was better players. It was better basketball. Yes, it was tough with the Pistons, the Bulls, Pat Riley. Showtime was something. But forget the Nuggets scoring 150. There were games in the 80s and 90s, playoff games in the 70s. That's how it happens. But the skill of it, back then, my view is those players were hugely skilled players. I watched last night's game, and it's fun. The Pistons, I had not really focused on them much this year. I felt a little like Barkley in that regard. Obviously, I'd heard and know about Cade Cunningham, but my God, just soft. What a touch he has. But I'm watching the game unravel. And I'm thinking about James Dolan because it took a half, Coca. That's it. The first half, I sat there without notes, without fumbling with our rundown, without thinking about anything. And then at halftime, I just said, all right, back to work, back to my life post sports, no longer a fan. And I started thinking about how to describe this game and talk about the various things we were going to talk about. And I was looking at James Dolan because they would show him, not purposefully, of course, but he sits behind the basket. When you're the owner and you have a choice to sit anywhere, why you sit behind the basket is beyond me. You got to go full Mickey Harrison. You sit at the scorer's table right there. If you've been to Miami Heat game, you know where Mickey Harrison sits. Those are the best seats to have. Behind the basket's fine, but not good enough. But James Dolan was sitting there and he looked grumpy to me. And I facially recognized how grumpy he was and how unhappy he was, because I think he was looking at the team and realizing that he trades for Karl-Anthony Towns. He trades for Mikel Bridges. That trade for Bridges, by the way, just a shocking display of insanity with what they gave up for that player. Forget the actual players, just 5 first-round picks on their own for Bridges is funny to me. $25 million player who's done after next year, and I guess they have to extend him to make it worthwhile to make the trade they made. So what? He becomes another max player? Dolan's looking at his team. He's looking at his RSN revenue decrease. Madison Square Garden Network is worth way less than it was today, than it was tomorrow. It'll be worth less the day after tomorrow than it is tomorrow. And he's looking at these players mature in terms of pay. And does he see a championship caliber team? I want you to put a pin in those words because we're going to address it later in the show. Championship caliber. We used to say that a lot when you run a team. It's one of those special words with sustained winning. We want to be competitive year in, year out. We want to build a championship caliber organization. I have to make a confession. As we're about to enter the conclave and the doors are being locked, waiting for white smoke, knowing we're going to get quite a bit of black smoke at the end of each day. I never really knew what championship caliber meant because we were building teams to win games. We figured the more games you win, the best chance you have to be in the playoffs. It's not even about what your salary is because, strangely, executives don't care. If the owner gives you a $50 million payroll or a $150 million payroll, it's like closet space in New York. There's always room for more. You'd want another player, a better player, more money. You make do with what you have. But you evaluate the people who put the teams together, not based on what constraints they have. You evaluate it based on the reality of what is at the level that the team is. It's not speculation. We don't evaluate, and we're going to revisit this too later. Oh, he had a lot of injuries. A lot of injuries, can't evaluate the job he did. Or we don't say, oh, you had a low payroll, tough year, can't evaluate you that way. No, you evaluate based on what your expectations are for the team, including your own delusions about the team that you're building. So Jimmy Dolan's looking at his team, and I was thinking to myself, I don't ever want to talk to him, ever. I mean, unless he wants me to run the Knicks. But, no, I wouldn't even do that. But does he look out at that game last night and say, yeah, we are a conference champion. We are an NBA champion. We are a championship caliber team. I really assume he doesn't. And if you're a Knicks fan, you have to hope that he doesn't. And my last thing on the Knicks game is, when did Tom Thibodeau start looking like Jeff Van Gundy? Tom Thibodeau is the coach of the Knicks, who's had a pretty successful run as a coach. He coached the T-Wolves. He coached the Bulls. He's been to a conference finals. He's been to the playoffs a bunch of times. Does he not look miserable? Can we get a picture up at some point during the show? I forgot to ask for it during the pre-show, Coca. Is there an up-close picture of Thibodeau on the sideline during a game with his arms crossed, with the bags under his eyes like Van Gundy, with the small wisps of what looks like either mousse or greasy hair? And I'm not trying to yuck on his physical yum. I'm saying, How miserable is it to be a coach in the NBA? Look at that. That's the perfect picture, Coca. He's showing a picture of Thibodeau. By the way, I can't stand how the coaches dress. I want them like football coaches. Go back to Tom Landry and Dan Reeves. Go back to what it looked like to wear a suit and tie. These guys are in tracksuits coaching the game. It reminds me of the COVID bubble, for crying out loud, which is something I don't want to think about, because then I think about the fact that I can't smell. So then we go to game 2 last night, and I was watching. I was one of those nights, I forgot what time of year this is. October's so much easier for me because you're just watching baseball every night, and it's just baseball. But this month of April, May, June, you've got NHL playoffs, you've got NBA playoffs, and you've got the baseball season underway. So something's got to give. So I'm following baseball on MLB on the app, MLB.com. I'm watching some baseball on MLB.TV, going back and forth, and ended up not being able to catch any play, of course, which is my red zone issue. Then I have a problem because I watch my stuff on Hulu, Coca, and it's hard to go last channel. It doesn't happen as quickly. It's a double click on my Apple remote. You have to go to the whatever. It's 2 clicks. It just so happens that I saw Ovechkin score the overtime winning goal against the Montreal Canadiens. I don't know if you remember this, Coca, but when I was with the Expos from 99 to 02, the Canadiens were, it's what taught me to really hate the other teams in your market. I learned about jealousy when I was in Montreal because Montreal was a Canadiens town. Hard stop. They say they're an Expos town but then they lost it in 94 with the strike and the World Series that never happened. Yada, yada, yada. It's a hockey town there. And the Canadiens have just not won a Stanley Cup since 1993, which for them might as well be forever. But Toronto says, hold my beer. And so the Canadiens and Capitals go to overtime. The announcer says, Ovechkin's never scored an overtime goal ever. And then a minute later, Ovechkin wins the game on an overtime goal. So I somehow got lucky, and I saw that while switching between the games. And then I'm going back and watching the beginning of Nuggets Clippers, thinking to myself, this game's going to be interesting because it really was the only close game of game 1. You'd expect it to be a close series. Kawhi Leonard is now healthy. Steve Ballmer is beaming, thinking to himself, this is why we have a new arena. This is why we put these players together on the team, on the thought that maybe one day Kawhi Leonard could be healthy. And Josh Harris, the owner of the 76ers, said, yeah, we tried that too. Didn't work. Tried it with George and Embiid. Nope, too many injuries. But Kawhi Leonard is not injured right now. And if you watch that game, he dropped an easy 39 last night on 15 for 19 shooting. And it got me thinking about the Clippers as a team. And is the upset the Clippers beating the Nuggets or the Nuggets beating the Clippers? It's such an evenly matched series. I expect it to go the distance and the Nuggets to win the series in 7 games, unless somehow Leonard can do a 4-rim hit shot from the side. That's a callback from too long ago, isn't it, Coca? Do you have any recollection of what that reference was? Do you remember what the shot he hit? No? Kawhi Leonard? No, maybe it wasn't him. I thought it was for the Raptors against the 76ers when it hit off the rim 5 times and went in. Anyone? The Abyss? Is anyone there? Nope. Hello? Can't hear you. We get to see on, I don't know when this is. Tomorrow night? The night after, Coca? When does the series head to LA now? Because game 3 will be at the Intuit Dome. When you build an arena, you build it for right now. You don't build it for the circus. You don't build it for the concerts. You don't build it for the regular season games. You don't even build it for the first game, even though you look forward to that so much. You build it for Thursday. You build it to host a playoff game for the first time. Of course, you'll have to have NBA TV to watch it. But I will be watching. And the reason I'll be watching is that I never got it. I never got to host a playoff game at Marlins Park. The closest I came was an all-star game in 17, World Baseball Classic game. That was fun. But I wanted a playoff game so badly. Why? Because that's what we're in the business of doing. When you put together a stadium deal or an arena deal, it's not about fleecing the public. It's not about trying to increase the value of your team, although it is about those things. What it's really about, the memory making for you and your fans, the ability to play in October for the Clippers, the ability to really try to become the Lakers. That's all he wants with the Clippers. That's all Steve Cohen wants with the Mets. Thursday night will be interesting. Let me move on to something else, Coca. I have to tell you something funny that happened with the Nothing Personal pick of the day. So this is the Nothing Personal pick of the day. And we had the Pistons plus 6.5 over the Knicks. And I am rooting for the Knicks. But I'm rooting for the Knicks to win by between 1 and 6 points because I want to win the Nothing Personal pick of the day. And something happened at the end of the game, Coca. It was 94-94. There was some sort of tie late in the game. And all I was thinking was no overtime. I don't want the risk of losing the pick of the day. So if the Knicks can hit a shot and win, fine. But when the Knicks tried to tie it with a 3, I wanted them to miss. I just didn't want overtime. And I realized that I'm just like you all now. We're the same. Fans, gamblers, line hawkers, picks. We are rooting for our picks to win, and it has overtaken fandom. So then I got to the next topic, Coca. I got to thinking how leagues and teams are trying to market to people while going through the up-to-date line scores, live odds, all the stuff of all the leagues that have embraced all of the gambling. It's a partnership that has accrued to the benefit of the leagues, the players, the fans, the companies, all of it. It's been accretive in every way, except one. I think it's had a deleterious impact on fandom. And this didn't start with sports betting on games. It started with fantasy, where kids and even adults were in fantasy leagues, and they were rooting for players, not teams. I grew up the opposite. I was a team guy, always a team guy. Charles Oakley, I hated him on the Bulls. You bring him to the Knicks, I loved him. One of my favorite Knicks of all time, behind number 1, Ewing, of course. When it comes to me trying to be a fan in the first half of the Knicks Pistons game, and then the Knicks come back, and I'm like, oh no, it's on an even score now. I need the Knicks to win by 1. That was a very telling moment for me. But we did win the pick of the day. We then lost the Nuggets game. The Nuggets had a chance to win. They were getting 1. They needed to be getting just a couple more than that. So guess what? It turns out that we went 1-1. So we are 43-42. We have something interesting for tonight. I don't want to do a look at me, Louie, so I'm not going to. But there's a chance that I was texting with someone involved with the Minnesota Timberwolves. And there's a chance that I was saying, hey, you know what? Don't be satisfied. Go full Alexander Hamilton. You got game 1 in LA. You came to LA. When you are a road team, any 7-game series, you need to split. You want to split the first 2. But when you win game 1, you want to get game 2. It so rarely happens, but you want to take the 2-0 lead on the road. If you're the Timberwolves, you don't want to go back to Target Center tied at 1. You want to win this game. The T-Wolves are getting 5.5 points from the Lakers. And I could make an argument that the T-Wolves are the better team. We're taking them. Edwards is going to get greedy. Look for it. And the second pick today, because we're doing 2 again, because it's Corbin Day. We're taking the A's over the Rangers because it's Corbin Day, and we go against Corbin every time. All right, it's time to talk about a team not in the playoffs. And I'm going to I'm going to sit up straight here for this. I'm aware of people in the industry who watch the show, and I'm appreciative of it. I don't know that Nico Harrison will watch this, and that's fine. The reason why we're going to talk about the Mavericks again, they're out of the playoffs. I'd like to not talk about it anymore. The Luka trade has been the subject of so many minutes on every show. Gnug, it's enough. Wait till the Lakers either win the championship or crap out in the playoffs, and you'll get another round of it. The general rule in sports when your season ends is you meet the media. Every team does it, no matter when your season ends, whether you're the champion or you have the worst record in the league. The process of meeting the media is not anything other than completely calculated. We have our PR staff meet with me and the GM because we would always meet the media together at the end of every season. President of Baseball Ops. The head of PR, PJ, would come sit down. We would go over talking points. We would go over subjects that were going to be brought up. We would go over exactly what we were going to say about our roster, about our payroll, about our season, putting a bow on last season, disappointment, elation, hope. Talk about the offseason, goals, talk about some marketing sales strategies, talk about some on-field personnel issues, and then say, we'll be in touch. See you at the winter meetings. TTFN, baby. Ta-ta for now. Do you think for 1 second that Nico Harrison was not prepared to meet the media? Because when I show you what he said in his closing press conference, you will realize that when I call for his firing immediately, but not just him, wait till you hear who else should lose the job. I want you to watch this video, please, and listen to this audio when Nico Harrison talked about this past season and the trade involving Luka Doncic.
I know that Luka was important to the fan base. I didn't quite know it to what level, but really the way we looked at it is, you know, if you're putting a team on the floor that's Kyrie, Clay, PJ, Anthony Davis, and Lively, we feel that's a championship caliber team, and we would have been winning at a high level, and that would have quieted some of the outrage.
That's it. I just want to make sure you all heard that as clearly as I did. He didn't know to what level Luka was important to the fan base. Do you think that that was part of the preparation from the PR people? Because if that was the answer that he was told to give on that, everyone in the PR department should be let go. If Nico said that on his own, then he should be let go. And you may think that's harsh. You may think I would take pleasure in that. And the answer is no. Why would I take pleasure in having an employee who is that incompetent? You're telling me that it took the outrage post-trade for you to know what Luka meant in Dallas? Were you not there in 2021 when it was Luka Doncic Day, officially declared by the city of Dallas? Recognizing everything he did on the court and off. The guy was a pillar in the community, 25 years old. Oh, I'm sorry, I missed something, Coca. You were in the finals last year. A championship caliber team. There is a problem going on in the Mavericks organization right now, and problems start at the top, and when you're at the top, you're responsible to fix them. For purposes of this conversation, we're going to say Patrick Dumont is the top of the Mavericks org. We all know, if you've listened to Nothing Personal, you all know why he's there, why he's the governor. You know that it couldn't be his mother-in-law, Miriam Adelson. You know that Dumont has no idea what he's doing. And then you read a bunch of stuff yesterday that Dumont made Nico Harrison meet the media with that little media roundtable he did with the president, Rick Welts, that we talked about last week, or was it yesterday? I can't remember when it was, Coca, but we did a whole segment on the ridiculousness of that media session and how that didn't work. And now Nico Harrison is out here. And now word is that Dumont was so upset with Harrison because Dumont was not warned about how this trade would be greeted by the fans. Wasn't aware when he gave permission because the president of basketball ops, said this is a championship caliber roster without Luka. We're going to play great defense. We're going to be long and lean. And he named those players that he named. Give me a small break. I guess I have this view of it. When you are new to an organization the way Dumont is, you're trying to learn as much as you can about the organization and about your people, but you have to have somebody with you. You have to have someone you can trust, whether it's a PR person, whether it's an assistant GM, whether it's the GM, whether it's your friend who's not even part of the team. You need somebody who's willing to talk to you and not be a sycophant, not genuflect in your general direction, someone who can tell you how it is. When a GM has too much power, eventually that GM is going to get let go. When you read that Nico fired a longtime team trainer who had been there under Dirk, who had been there for 25 years, and that was the beginning of real problems within the organization, you think to yourself, is that normal? And it's being reported on all sorts of media fronts that it was Nico Harrison trying to put his stamp on the organization, trying to make him the lone voice. I've got a news flash for you. Every single GM does the same thing. Every president of basketball or baseball operations or NFL general manager, president of football ops, they're all trying to get the full power. There's a reason why there's very few people who make it from GM to GM, because GMs want their own people. They want to start again. They want to see who they inherit, evaluate them quickly, and then bring in the people that are comfortable with, they know, or who they think will be loyal to them. Because the politics of the front office are all about loyalty to the number one person. The reason the loyalty matters is that the amount of backstabbing, the amount of media that is used in order to subvert and make sure that there is a power struggle that is known, that is public, and that all cuts against how a team can actually perform on the field, I think you'd be blown away. What you see with an organization during the press conferences we talk about, during statements, that's like the tip of the iceberg. You have to know that below the surface, there is so much. And what I was thinking the best way to describe it to you, and here's what I came up with. The reason why icebergs are the way they are, and that you only see the tip above water, is that often the foundation is something that we all take for granted. We don't really think about the rebar involved in buildings. We worry about the elevator cables. We don't really think about the structure of our house. We just know if there's an immovable wall. We know if there's a column, hey, that column's necessary, but I'm still going to try to slap a picture into it. Oh, wow, that made it hard. The nail can't go in there. We don't really think much about the people who put our planes together when the engine's on fire. We're thinking about whether or not the captain's drunk or whether or not the slides work and I can take my carry-on. We think about the wrong stuff. What you should be thinking about with your organization when you're thinking about the team that you love, but you don't want to because you just want to be a fan. Sorry to do this to you. What you should be thinking about is the underbelly of your organization and how sicknesses manifest themselves, and then how you know you can't win when that happens. The Mavericks have a true problem. How it ends is very simple. Wait to see is when we tell you something's going to happen. If it does, fine. If it doesn't, fine. we will revisit it. Nico Harrison is going to lose his job no later than the end of this year. So in 2025, Nico Harrison will lose his job because Patrick Dumont, and that's a wait to see, Coca, make it official, put it in there. Because Patrick Dumont is going to say to himself, too many people are seen below the surface. There's too much. We've got to make it so people can view our team again as a team to love and invest in. What a mess, Coca. Okay. We had one more thing. Coca, before we go to break. This one is something. How many times did I get asked in 18 years, on the record and off the record? I would say at least 3 times a year, at least. So I'm going to say 54 times minimum. How come you have this job? Obviously, it's because of your stepfather. It's total nepotism. Why shouldn't you be fired? I was asked that 54 times. I want to play you a tape of how not to answer that question on or off the record. In the same press conference, Nico was asked why he shouldn't be fired. And listen to what he said.
I think I've done a really good job here, and I don't think I can be judged by the injuries this year. You have to judge from totality, from beginning to end. And so I think I have a really good working relationship with Patrick. I think you add in Rick, the leadership that we have is really elite. And you'll see next year when our team comes back, we're going to be competing for a championship.
I set you all up for that, didn't I? I set you up for my wait to see because I knew we had that sound on tape. I knew that we were about to play you Nico saying, hey, listen, don't judge me on injuries. He's talking to Patrick Dumont. I've got a great relationship with Patrick and team president Rick Welch. He's talking to Patrick Dumont. Just wait till next year. We're going to be a championship caliber team. He's talking to Patrick Dumont. When you are asked whether or not you should get fired, you do not respond to that question. It was asked in the media availability. Here's what you do. Nico, could you tell me, please, why exactly you shouldn't be fired? I'll tell you one thing. I am so excited to work with this group of players and this front office and the organization we've put together because next year can't come soon enough. We are getting back to work right after this press conference is over. That's it. No. Tell me again why you shouldn't be fired. I'm just saying this. Man, I have a tear in my eye about the work ahead of us and how excited I am to start doing it. And it starts right now. Injuries? Man, you can't judge me because of injuries. What a joke. All right, let's go to break, Coco. We come back. Wait till you hear about this documentary. And then I want to talk about something going on in Hollywood. Don't turn off the show, please. We'll be right back. Thank you. Welcome back to Nothing Personal. It's David Samson. Thank you for downloading, and please tell your friends about what we're doing. Bring them on board. It's never too late. I love getting emails at davidsamsonpodcast.com. Tell me everything. Tell me when you started listening. Tell me what you love, what you don't love. We are always thinking about this show for you that we do every day, except a few, not many. Still watch a movie every day, no matter what time of year. Does not matter. Sometimes I have to watch it late at night. There's no question about that. I do look forward to later in the playoffs when there's no more 10 o'clock games. I do. I do look ahead and say, wow, there's a time when it's a 9:30 final game. That makes me happy. Got to get to the movie. Hey, what can I do? Well, what I can do is watch a documentary called Becoming Led-Zeppelin. I did not experience it in IMAX. I experienced it on a screen, on a pretty small iPad screen. But I had great headphones. I did not know the origin story of Led Zeppelin. I did not know how Robert Plant came to be or Jimmy Page. I did not even know, and I admit it, what happened that one of their original band members was not alive. Spoiler alert, though it doesn't spoil the movie. There is unbelievable archival footage. Watching the process of this band, my favorite Led-Zeppelin song is Fool in the Rain. And I just heard it played and covered by OAR in the last OAR concert I went to at Meisner Park, actually, in Boca. And the reason I love music documentaries is I love the creative process. I love watching what people do, because everyone you see on your screen, every athlete, every actor, every executive, every podcaster, successful one at least, you're only seeing the iceberg. You're only seeing the tip. You're not seeing all of the mind-numbing work that goes in. All of the times that Led Zeppelin played in front of 12 people. You call it an overnight success. You call it nepotism, whatever it is you call it. It's not true. Think about the amount of work that's done. There's no such thing as an overnight sensation or a band that gets discovered and all of a sudden is selling out a tour around the world, a stadium tour. You have to become it, and the number of people who become it is tiny. The odds are stacked against you. There are millions of podcasts. If you get 1,000 downloads a month, you're like in the top 5%. There are a million people who are playing guitar, who are playing drums. You become Led Zeppelin? You are the elite of the elite. It's worth it to watch, even if you don't like Led Zeppelin. All right, stay with me, folks. Please. Thank you. I'm going to talk a little bit of movies right now, but it's really about all of sports, not just entertainment. This is where the intersection comes that I love as part of Nothing Personal, where we can tell you about movies and culture and sports, politics, anything, because we have full creative and editorial control. But the Academy of Motion Pictures and Sciences released something yesterday. That's the Academy Awards. You know I love them. Adnan, pay attention. There's a new rule. In order to vote, you have to watch the movies. I know that sounds crazy. I mean, hold on to your hats, everybody. The Academy has decided that the rule is in the categories that you get access to a streaming platform. We are monitoring your clicks. We are making sure you watched it in full. I don't know if any of you have ever taken an online test, but you take the online test, you can pretend that you're taking the test. You can just close your eyes and move the mouse, all sorts of things when you're doing continuing education. There's so many ways around it. But what the Academy is trying to say is, when we have people voting for costume design or cinematography or live action shorts or documentary features, we want people to watch the damn movies. I can't believe that that is something that was brought to the public forefront by the Academy. It's like me saying to a writer, can you imagine the gall it would be to say to Jason Stark, a dear friend, hey, before you vote for the Hall of Fame, make sure you pay attention and have seen the players play. Think about that. That's the criteria that we now have to ask people to watch the movies because they were voting without watching the movies. Have you ever taken a standardized test where you're actually incentivized to leave something blank instead of guessing? That's how I always wanted to do tests, because I don't want to reward luck. I want to reward skill. I want to reward intelligence. I want to reward those who prepared. When you get points taken away for a wrong answer, the strategy is, if you don't know, you leave it blank. Because in a multiple choice, you've got a 25% with 4 options. If it's 5, it's only a 20% chance. If there's no negative possibility of guessing wrong, then of course you guess, and then it makes people think, oh, you're smarter than you are, or you know more than you are. Would you want your proctologist to have his MCATs based on guessing? I think that's the right hole. Man, you're at my nose. I don't think it's something the Academy should be publicizing because I don't think it's something that it should be known that it was happening. There's so much criticism right now over the way the NBA, Coca, just came out with its awards finalists. Got me thinking about all the voters, all the people who get a vote and who the MVP will be between Jokic and SGA. Everyone assuming SGA will win. Jokic should be the MVP. It's going to go to SGA. Who's the best sixth man, the defensive player of the year? Is it Draymond Green? The rookie of the year? Most improved player? MLB does the same thing with all these things, manager of the year, etc. How do you think these votes happen? There are people whose job it is to evaluate. We can bicker. We can even disagree about whether we think people in the media should have the vote versus executives, versus players themselves, versus fans. I'm happy to argue any constituency. My view always of awards is I understood that it was the media with the vote. I understood the media had the Hall of Fame vote, and we would politic with media members. We would be respectful of media members, much like members of the Academy, much like anyone who has a vote in what your future is. It's totally normal that there is a subjective nature to it. How do you take out all subjective behavior? How do you remove that? I'm a pretty binary guy, Coca. And to me, I am not going to find a world where I can be all black and white. The world is full of gray. And the issues I have often, and now we're getting personal for a minute, but the issues I have often is when I demand a certain result and I'm unwilling to either comprehend or accept anything other than that result. And that doesn't mean a positive result versus a negative result. It means a result. That's the definition of binary, where it's one thing or the other. I love sports that way. I either win or I lose. The show is nothing personal or tough for me. This is show 1260. I can only judge whether it's a good show by the number of people who listen or download. I'm basing it all on you. Do you like the show? Because for me, I have no great way to evaluate at the end of every show other than Coca telling me all the things I did wrong, the things he didn't like, which he does every show, no matter what. And I need that from him. But after a win or a loss, that's it. You know what happened. I would not want to be in a world where there were decisions being made by people who would be anything other than objective, but I have no better solution. People don't often admit that. Don't bring me a problem without a solution. Give me a break. I don't have a solution. I just know it's a problem. I'll tell you what I wouldn't do. I sure as heck fire wouldn't make max extensions in the NBA based on whether you get an all-NBA award. That's for damn sure. All right. Ooh, play me some music, please, Coca.
You know what I want? I want to talk to Samson.
So you want to talk to Samson? Get into my X. Get right deep down in there at David P. Samson. My DMs are open. I can't get to all of them, but I try. DavidSamsonPodcast.com. Email me. Can't get to all of them, but I try. You know how to reach me. You can reach me in an appropriate way. Your question may make the show. David, hello. It's always a good way to start. Hello. I'm a loyal listener, and I even hear you on the Blair and Barker show. Shout out to Jeff and Kevin up there in Canada, eh? Can you discuss the hamstring injury to Strider and whether you think the Braves are now finished? Thanks, and go Mets. Coca, was this you? I don't think it's you because I don't think you listen to me any other time than the 50 minutes on Nothing Personal. I'd like to describe a definition of Coca's worst nightmare. Matt, I got an idea. Let's do more than 50 minutes. Oh my God, that'd be insane, David. Let me answer this question. Spencer Strider has a strained hamstring. I don't know if you saw that yesterday. He's going on the injured list. Hamstrings are tough. They were my least favorite injury for a player to have, even worse than Tommy John. I didn't like shoulder injuries for pitchers much. But hammies are tough because I could never get a straight answer from the doctor. It's a grade 1. It's a slight tear. It's only a strain. A strain is a tear, doc. That's true, but it's a small tear. It's a complete separation. Grade 3, grade 5. He's out for a year. We're not sure. With hamstrings, he can't come back quickly. A pitcher with a hamstring is a real problem because if you come back and you have a hamstring problem, then your mechanics are screwed up and you're coming back from TJ and then you're going to hurt your elbow and shoulder. So when Strider went out with the hamstring issue, it was a big problem for the Braves. I grant you. But are they finished? What's wrong with you? As a Mets fan, are you that worried about the fact that the Braves started 0-7? And the reality is they've won 4 in a row. They're right back in it. They were 8 games under 500. Now they're down to 4 under. And believe me, they could end up above 500 before this month is even done. They're playing the Cardinals and Rockies to finish the month. True, they've got the Diamondbacks, but 5 of their games are against the Cardinals and Rockies. Can you imagine a 6-2 finish for these final 8 games for the Braves? I can. Which, by the way, coincidentally, they'd end April at 500. Totally crawling out of their 0-7 hole. Now, it is true the Mets and Phillies have started off better. I guess, as whoever asked me this question, you're all in. You saw Lindor go deep. You saw the Mets, my Grand Slam pick of the day, you saw them win, which is different than nothing personal pick of the day. What's my answer? What's my answer, Coca? Let me think. No, they're not finished. What exactly? I had to put this in the show because people are so funny. Fans just make me laugh. Strider is a very important part of the rotation. There's no question in Atlanta. But the injured player story as the excuse for lack of performance, what do you think? Atlanta and Anthopoulos are like Nico and Dallas? You think that's what Anthopoulos will stand up and say, man, we were so injured, nothing we could do about this. We just have a crappy team that we put together. No. Can I do a little wait to see here, Coca? Can I? Just for me. I'm going to do a second wait to see. Can you add it to our document at davidsamsonpodcast.com? The Atlanta Braves will make the playoffs. I believe I picked them to make the playoffs when the season started as a wild card, when we did our predictions on the March 27th show. But I also told you after an 0-7 start, nobody's made the playoffs. 0 for 28. I do already that they're going to make the playoffs. I have the Braves will finish with a winning record as a wait to see, but now we're adding the Braves are making the postseason as a wait to see. That lineup with Olsen and Riley and Ozuna and Albies when Acuna comes back, it's too good. Even in a tough National League, which is so far superior than the American League, I can't even tell you. The National League is way deeper, way harder to get through that gauntlet. The Braves will be in the postseason. That's official, Coca. Wait to see. So here's a funny thing about my day coming up today that I just want to quickly share with you before we have to go. At the end of this, I start working on the next day's show, and we figure out how we're going to do tomorrow's show. But during playoff time, I go through and I have an entire watch plan for what I'm doing today. I was going to share it to you, but we only have 1 minute left. But there are tonight, just so we're aware, tonight is Tuesday night. I've got hockey games that start at 6 o'clock. There are NBA games that you know I'm going to watch all the slate, and there's even an overlap, which bothers me because I don't understand why they do that. It's not right that I have to watch my Bucks at 7 o'clock and then the Grizzlies Thunder at 7:30. I'm going to have to do like a quadruple split screen. And the reason I want to do it is I've got the worst FOMO ever. And I know you all feel the same way because we all have it, no matter how secure you are, the prom king, the prom queen, no matter how beautiful you are or lucky or rich or famous. We all have FOMO. We all want to see everything When you're in this role of trying to be and do a show every day, you feel like if something happens that you don't know about, that you're going to be left behind. It's bad enough taking 2 days last week without a show. The guilt I felt with you emailing me saying, "Are you okay?" My whole routine was shot. Well, guess what? You're back. We're back. It's just business, though. See you tomorrow. This is nothing personal.